Happy Sunday to all you Razorback fans out there, as it is time for another Inside Arkansas Devotional, bringing you the good word and the good vibes and the good message for the Arkansas Razorback football team following another game in SEC play. And what a game it was. Your University of Arkansas Razorbacks took care of business against the Mississippi State Bulldogs on the road by a final score of 58-25. Sometimes it's really hard to look at that score and comprehend exactly just how much offense was put on display in this matchup. Considering just a year ago, we saw my brothers in Christ, a game that ended 7-3 in regulation in Fayetteville. Wasn't this time around. The Arkansas Razorbacks really took care of business after not looking so good against LSU just a little over a week ago. Granted, LSU had some things go their way. It was really a concerning thing for Arkansas in looking into that game of whether or not it would meant that they were a bad team, an average team, good team, whatever it was. It was really hard to decide exactly how this game and how this team was going to end up the next week. But that question got answered. The Razorbacks are now 3-2 in SEC play, with 3 games left to go, 2 of which being at home, but all of them being against quality teams. 5-3 overall. 1 more win out of the next 4 games gets Arkansas to bowl eligibility. 2 more wins gets into a 7-win season. And 3 more wins. Well, let's not get there just yet. But this was a good game, a great game. You're not going to hear any fire and brimstone from me today. All you're going to hear is good things. I know that the defense gave up a lot of yardage, and it's not something you like to see. But in the times that it mattered the most, in the situational times that it mattered the most, Arkansas's defense stood strong. 25 points, that's all they gave up to a Mississippi State offense that has slowly but surely improved game after game. And then the Mississippi State defense, which is the worst in the SEC, and that still held true, Arkansas was able to put more points on them than any other team this football season. That's more than Georgia. That's more than Texas. It's more than anyone. Now, you can't look at it that way in specific, and you can't really look at this type of win automatically making you feel like Arkansas is just going to go through the rest of the schedule and take care of business and it not even be an issue whatsoever. That's not how you can look at it. You got to remain humble and you got to remain true. But you can still remain hopeful. Now, the thing about Arkansas right now and the uncertainty that they have can be pretty frustrating to prepare for or to understand or to even know what's going to happen next. But one thing that I will say, though, is that for the first time this season, Arkansas did what they were supposed to do. They went in there into Starkville against an opponent that was inferior to them, and they did what they were supposed to do. It was a good feeling. I'm not saying it was never stressful, but it was just good to see. Sometimes you kind of wonder how you do it, how they do it. How are they able to win like that, looking that way and being that way? And it's probably something we can sit here and dive into and break down, but I'm going to let, of course, Brother Curtis and Brother Andrew take care of that in their report card that's going to be coming out today. But the thing that I wanted to bring up is just sometimes when you think that you don't have it in you, sometimes when you feel like you just don't have enough, you're able to surprise some people. You're able to do some things to where it's like, wow, okay, I guess they were capable of that. And Arkansas was missing a few of their pieces, especially offensively. Quentin Jackson wasn't available to play in this game, your best running back. So you were going to have to rely on other options. But even Rodney Hill wasn't somebody who was going to play. So what do you do? How do you approach it? How do you handle it? It's the ultimate question. And as the game went on, you saw a lot of other players get involved that you hadn't seen in quite some time or ever this season. Andreas Poschke decided to score 2 touchdowns, receiving a tight end that has been injured a lot this season and has really been a non-factor. But he goes out there and takes care of business. I mean, Luke has got involved. There's even the Jordan Anthony touchdown, which still is kind of weird to even imagine or think about. But the point is that you were able to do something. You were able to score a bunch of points. You were able to get things going offensively when it looked like you weren't a team that was built to score. You didn't have the pieces to be able to score at a high volume. Which brings me to my devotional that I like to do, of course, in relating it to the Word and to the Scriptures. A lot of you may be familiar with the story of Jesus feeding the 5,000 and how that there was a miracle in place where Jesus was talking with his apostles and said, don't worry about the people going into the villages to buy food. Just you give them something to eat. Well, they said, well, we only have 5 loaves and 2 fish. That's all we got. And he said, bring them to me. And then he ordered the crowds to sit on the grass, and taking the 5 loaves and 2 fish, he looked up to heaven, said a blessing, and then he broke the loaves and gave it to the disciples, and the disciples gave it to the crowds, and they all ate, and they were satisfied, and they took up 12 baskets full of broken pieces that were still left over. And those who ate were about 5,000 men, besides women and children. So what does that mean? How does that relate? Sometimes when you think of the players that you have before you, coach, this is all we got. We're missing some pieces. It's not an offense that's been built to score. It's not a team that's been successful in the red zone. But this is what we have. Make it work. Make it work. And they rolled out there onto the field with those pieces that they had. And they did it. Every time they were in the red zone, they scored 9 for 9. Perfect. Something they hadn't done. They had players that they hadn't seen and didn't have to count on before, like Poschke, like Haz, like Rodney Hill, that were able to get into the end zone and to score and to help this team be successful. So the point is sometimes you just look at what you have and you may think, this isn't it. This ain't it. We're not going to be able to do this. We don't have enough. Sometimes you make it enough. And Arkansas made it enough yesterday. They made it enough. They were able to not only score effectively and put together great offensive drives, but they even had enough left over. 58 points. Incredible. Still a lot of work to do. Still a lot of places to go. But Razorback fans are pretty satisfied after seeing that. Pretty content. And that's what you got to be happy with right now. Being happy, being content, but also still striving for what's to come. You have Ole Miss in Fayetteville, a morning game coming up this weekend. Should be nice weather. Ole Miss sitting pretty, been a good team. Didn't play extremely well against Oklahoma, but still winning games. As we know, this game always gets nutty, gets crazy. So you must prepare. You must be mindful, must be watchful for the opponent that comes your way. But be satisfied, Razorback fans. It may not seem like it was enough. It may not have seemed like you had enough going into that game yesterday, but you did. Be satisfied. Maybe some of you out there that are Razorback fans that have maybe lost your way a little bit. Maybe you lost hope in the team and you needed yesterday and a few more things to happen to get you back on track. Or perhaps there are some of you who have yet to take the journey, the extremely difficult but rewarding path of becoming a Razorback fan moving forward. No matter what your need may be, we can help you, we can guide you, and we can do it all for you right here as we stand and as we call the Hogs.